Right now, to make a Turboramjet engine actually function pretty well with what we have, I need to double the compression that we already have from this compressor. And the way we're going to do that is basically build another one of these, almost identical to it, that's going to have double the ratio as the size of the input this one has. So instead of having 1/2-inch lead blades as the intake blade size, we're going to have a 1-inch lead blade size. And instead of reducing down to 1/8 inch, we're reducing down to 3/8 inch. So we're really doubling everything's size and volume, and we're going to keep the exact same compression ratio. How we're going to build that little compressor is just like this. So that's what it starts out as, just a simple flat piece. I fold a 57-degree angle. I set up the line here for the next break. I mark where I'm going to cut that break, so I have a 1-inch faceplate. When I'm done with that, it looks like this. So basically you have a fold over down here, you got a fold over on that side. Those are where it's going to mount to the top and the bottom plate. That's where the compression is going to take place. This 1-inch wide leaf here is going to come up from the center drive rod, and with some pliers and stuff I'll actually curve a little bit of a curvature to all of them when it's finally done, just to get them to scoop the air just right while mimicking the curvature that you see on the face of those blades. The outer edge is kind of curved over a bit, so we can do that with this. Next, what we're going to want to do with each one of these is we're going to take a flat plate, cut it in a disc, just like that, and I use 2 washers, just like this. I put one out in front, you can see it at the tip of my finger there. I use the flat plate, and then behind that we have another one of those washers. So all I'm really doing is I'm cutting right here at the corner. I cut back a 1/2 inch. I make sure I make a little bit higher cut on the raised leaf edge there, so that way it's got the spacing for the washer edge to sit in there, and I push those down in between that aluminum plate and that top washer until they're sitting right up next to each other. And you got to cut each one of them a little bit of a pie shape so they'll fit in 8 of them. And once we get those all pushed into that, I'll tighten it all down. I'll drill through the bottom plate down here where we have that bottom little fold over. I'll drill through and I'll put a couple little rivets through that to hold them down onto the bottom plate. And then up here on top, we'll basically take a ring, we'll set that down over the top of the compressor, I'll roll out a tube. It's going to be a little bit higher than the height of the top of the blades here, just to give us kind of a draw, and it'll feather out just a little towards the front of it. I've installed all 8 blades. They're not riveted down yet. I just pushed them all in, tightened it down a bit. You can see how nice and aggressive that's going to turn out. Put a piece of all thread all the way through this. This will be the piece that actually the drive bolt rides down through the center of that, and we'll kind of compress it into place, probably even pin it just to keep it there due to the RPMs. Real quickly here, let me zoom in so you can see the cuts I've made on each one of those blades, if it'll focus for us. You can see the little angle out cut, kind of a little L cut in the blade up there where it comes up to the top, just against the all thread. That was designed so that we got that nice front look to it right there. Just a little bit of a cap over the all thread, and that'll give us a really nice high volume, high compression front compressor to our Turboramjet engine. So let me show you just how I put this together. First of all, I found these little tiny 16th inch rivets. Not 1/8 inch, but actual 16th inch rivets. You'll notice they barely stick up inside of there. They're not impeding my airflow much at all. That's how I was able to rivet the bottom plate down to those blades that I showed you. Then the top plate here was that ring I showed you. I just made a slice in it, carefully kind of brought that slice down to a bit of a cone. That way we could match the reduction in our blades here with the cone. Rolled out a ring, the right size for the raise in our blades, twice the height of the raise. And then with some L brackets just riveted to that ring and then down right into the top edge of those blades. So it's a multi-purpose rivet point right there. So there you go. This is how you can build a real compressor fan to add to your Turbojet or Turboramjet engine project. So I've got a bearing system now mounted so we can get that to spin. Let me go ahead and pull it off of there so you can see what's going on. What I have is a standoff that I built. That standoff is exactly the same distance as the edge of our compressor blade here. That way the air will flow nice and freely right off the edge of the compressor, back around. Basically we're going to use this area as the diffuser. It's going to come back around and then into our second compressor there. That should give us about 8-to-1 compression, really close to 8-to-1 compression. Here's the completed compressor now, ready to go to install on our Turboramjet engine. A little stiff due to the brand new bushings, and all the holes and everything need to be run for a moment just to get it loosened up a bit, but it's nice and centered. This will move a lot of air for us as a primary, our first stage compressor, and then down through the entire system down into our second stage compressor, and if there's anything extra, it's going to come out right here into our ramjet engine. I've also installed a frame now. This frame is the beginning of the mount to hold our electric starter motor. So I'll start building some pieces to mount off of this for that motor to mount to. We'll be able to spin this thing up to 20,000 RPMs. Just want to give you a quick look what that compressor we just got done building now looks like attached to our Turboramjet engine. We now have a large high volume compressor stage, a turbulator stage, and then our final second compressor stage here. This should give us all we need to really get